What is up, everybody? My name is Justin Munitz and welcome back to my channel. Today we have a session in a couple hours time and I need to take all of this mess, come have a look at this, and set it up over there. Okay, so I've got a standard headshot session. We're going to set up a pure white background. I think we're shooting full length. I just need to double check on that. Yeah, so let's get started. Let's set that up and I'll walk you through the process. Or I'll just set it up and then I'll walk you through it.
But I need you, and you're off my radar now. I've lost you.
Pretty much set up. I'm going to, I still need to set the lights and test them out, just to give you a squiz behind the scenes. I'm not sure how that time lapse went. Right. Okay, so we have two lights pointed directly at the background with our polyboard set up to block any of that extra light pushing forward onto our subject. We have our key light, which is the, I think it's 120 centimeter parabolic with our light set up. So Godox 8600 Bowens mount. Another small softbox, which we're going to be using for the to light the body. As you can see here, okay, so that shiny surface is, I really like to put that on the floor. It helps to give a little bit of the reflection of the subject back into the scene, so it doesn't look like they're floating on a white background. And let's come take a look behind the other polyboard. We have our other lights set up aimed at the background. So the two lights on the background, let's just try to set this up here. It's not very straight. Okay, so the two lights that we've got in the background, I'm going to meter those for at least one stop brighter than the subject. So I think I'm going to have my subjects at around f8. So that one stop would be f10, I think. 8. Yep, I think it's about right. So I'm going to meter that at f10 without any other lights. So I'm going to test that out first, see what it looks like. I'm going to take a photo of myself and make sure that there is very little light influencing the subject. So that way I know that the background is lighting the background and my key lights are lighting my key light. Okay, so in order to do this, I have a little remote trigger that will power my lights, and I have a trusty light meter. I set it to 1/25 of a second just to be safe, and then it's going to give me the power reading, and then I just sort of like click all along the background to try get an average. You can see me doing this here. So it's not an exact science because I'm still going to look at what the screen says in terms of if I'm blowing out my highlights or not. And obviously once I switch on my key light, it's going to influence the background a little bit more as well. But it's a good starting off point without taking 100 pictures, walking backwards and forwards. So yeah, so let's go set our key light. And I think my hard drives have just arrived. Okay, so I forget where we were, but just got distracted. I've been waiting on these hard drives for a couple of days. So I put in the order last week, and then all of a sudden I got an email saying that we don't have the hard drives, and then do you want to cancel the order or do you want to replace the order? So obviously I need the drive, so I replaced the order. And then I got another email saying that your order's been placed but waiting a payment. And I was like, but I've already paid for the hard drive. So that was like a couple of emails backwards and forwards. Eventually they credited the account and the hard drives came today. So I'm pretty happy about that because hard drive space is important. Okay, so we've done the backlights. I don't actually know what those look like yet. So what I'm first gonna do is use the light meter exactly the same way, and I'm gonna get this light up to around f8, maybe 7.1 as a starter. And then I've got this light over here with the grid, that is purely to light the legs. I don't want that to influence the face at all. And just to keep it looking natural, if this is around f8, and as you can see, like what's happening right now on my face, the beautiful window light streaming in, hitting me in the face, and as you can see going down to my legs, it gets, I don't know if you can see my legs, it's probably upside down, there's a bit of a gradient in the light. So we want to create that natural looking effect where the light goes from the brightest just maybe slightly down. So if the key light is set around f8, my creative choice to keep it looking natural would be to say, okay, well, if that's at f8, maybe the legs could be around 5, 6. You could set it to f8 if that's what you want to do, and I might do that depending on the color of the clothing that the clients are wearing. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, and you can actually watch me. So we're just gonna got to get the right trigger. So this is my Godox Canon trigger. What's really nice about this is that I can actually, it's probably too dark, but I can change the power without having to go to each unit, which is really, really helpful because it's a bit frustrating walking backwards and forwards. Yeah, so turning the light on. Turning on the light meter. And that's at F10, so that's too bright. I'm gonna bring it down full stop. 9, 7, F8. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to meter for the brightest area in the frame so that I'm not going to be blowing out any highlight. What you could also do is meter for the shadows and see what they're falling at. So for example, this side of my face is obviously brighter than that side. So for example, if this is f8, this might be 5, 6. And what I might do is bring in a bit of a full light to sort of soften out the shadows. I don't know what they're going to look like just yet. Depending on the placement of the key lights would depend on how much shadow you have. So right now, if the window was my key light, obviously I'm lighting this side of my face, this side is in shadow, but if I turned around this way, then you can see there aren't really any shadows on my face, except I'm completely blurry. So then you can see there's no shadowing on my face. So key light placement is super, super important. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is test out the next light for the legs and see what that is set at. I got another trigger for that one. I got to set that manually, unfortunately. But let's just see. I don't know what it's on. I'm just going to take a reading. So there. So that is 5, 6. There we go. Okay. Cool. I don't know if this iMac works. I heard the power. So I'm not fit. There. Back in business. Okay, so while that power's up, I'll just talk a little bit about why I like to shoot tethered. Part of the reason is because I don't really trust the little screen or my eyes when I'm shooting. I'm pushing 40, so things aren't as clear as they should be. And seeing things on a really nice big, I think this is like an old 21-inch. And this is just a good example of that we don't have the latest and greatest gear. You don't need it necessarily. As long as you've got stuff that works, you can still create, which is great. So I like to shoot tethered to my camera. Sorry, it's getting a bit heavy. I like to shoot tethered to the camera, to the computer, so I can see what's happening and I can zoom in. I can see if my images are sharp. I can see if my highlights are blowing out. I can see where the light is falling, what the shadows are doing, and some people will tell you that it maybe slows down your workflow, but I completely disagree. It's just a little bit more methodical, but you sort of get to the end result a lot quicker. Whereas I find when I'm shooting just to the back of the camera, not tethered at all, I tend to overshoot. I shoot more because I'm a little bit worried that things are not going to be as sharp, and I don't really know if I've got that shot until I get it back to my computer. And this is almost like combining that step. So yes, maybe the shoot is stretched out a little bit, but getting to the end results is a lot quicker, well, at least for me. Okay, so let's fire up Capture One. That's what I like to shoot into. I do use Lightroom for my personal work. I just find it a bit easier with the cataloging. But for my professional work, for my studio work, Capture One is the way to go. So, this feels a bit wobbly. The first frame I like to take is purely of the background with nothing in it, and that just helps me to get a focus point. You can see the light stand there. I focus on the light stand, and shooting at around f8 gives me enough depth of field to be able to get everything in focus. So that is what the screen should look like, completely black. I could see a little bit of ambient light influence in the scene, but it's not something that's going to bother me at all. So I'm going to take this away now. And I'm going to start to take some professional selfies. I'm going to stand in the scene and you can see what that looks like. Hopefully it's going to look good. Cool. Okay, so you've got 3 lights firing. You can see the light, it's hitting the leads, but it's not really influencing the face much at all, which I really like. Just zoom in there, see what's happening. Some of the light is creeping around. Maybe come down a little bit, but I don't mind it. I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so let's turn on our main lights as well. See, I'm chopping off my head a little bit, so let's raise this up for you guys to see what it looks like. Oh, some terrible reflections. So what I'm seeing is some stuff I don't like, some stuff I do like. I look a little bit underexposed on the face. You can see it's a little bit dark. The cheek highlights maybe a bit bright. So what we're going to do is, I could either step forward, but I kind of like the shadows happening over here, down by the feet. You can see that those are the reflections I was talking about, so you don't have to do those in post-production at all. Amazing. Okay, so let's turn up the key light by, I don't know, 2/3. Boom. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe a fraction more. What do you guys think? I don't know. I mean, it's okay. It's good. Shadows are maybe a little bit dark on the cheek there. Let's turn it up. Looks pretty good. I do feel that maybe the shadows are a little bit on the dark side, especially on the cheek. So what I'm going to do, I could either bring in another light just to fill in the shadows, to brighten up everything overall, which is probably the right thing to do. Then I have another light set up right over there. That's a big softbox, which I'll actually place sort of behind me, behind camera, and a little bit to the right, just to bring up those shadow tones. Let's set that up quickly. What I have done is I've brought in another softbox over here to bring in a little bit more fill into the shadow side of the face. Is the result, as you can see, there is very little shadowing on the shadow side. Our key light is coming in from up on this side. Pure white background. We are going to have to do some Photoshop, obviously, but we have these really nice shadows. And that is a wrap for the shoot. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if that's something that you'd like to do to see more of these kind of videos. If you have the time, I'd love for you to leave a comment. Any feedback is greatly appreciated, and we'll see you in the next video.